Well, hello, beautiful people.
Locked in the bunker, shadows shake. One man clapping secrets awake. Board games living, dice they break. Echoes pounding, hearts they quake. In the bunker, board games rolling. One man clapping, stories growing. Hard rock thunder, speakers blowing. Clapping loud, the unknown.
Welcome to the sound of one man clapping. I am the one man coming to you direct from the bunker. It is a chilly day here in Sydney, Australia, and life is good. I love my job. I'm married to an absolute smoke show of a human being, and there are board games. What else does a man need on with the show? Well, OMC crew, it's been 2 weeks since we've all gotten together. I do hope you're all well. I had a really interesting interview lined up for today, and for reasons, it's just been knocked back a week. It looks like it's getting rescheduled to next week, so I'm hoping I can line that up for our next get-together. But for now, let's get into the games that we're saddled up, because there are some great games here today. Super Trooper and I got back to Scholars of the South Tigris. Now, we haven't played this. I think we looked it up since the end of 2024, and we got to play it with the expansion. The books, scrolls, books, I can't remember. Anyway, with the expansion. And we are fans. Spoiler, we are fans. Well, I'm a fan. I know Super Trooper's a fan. We're fans of Scholars of the South Tigris. I know some people bounced off it. But in Scholars, I mean, you could be making cheeseburgers. I mean, the theme's pretty loose. But you're basically translating scrolls. And to do so, you have to employ translators. And you have to move scrolls into the different towers of study. And the Scholars, one of the things I really like about Scholars is it's color-coded. So scrolls have a type, which is not color related, and then they have they don't have a type, they have an area of study, which is philosophy or science or botany or whatever, humanistics, whatever the case is, and you've got these 6 tracks running up the middle of the table. And when you move a scroll to study into one of the 3 towers, you get to bump one of those tracks up. Those tracks are tracky, so they give you bennies. And the towers are color-coded. So you've got an orange tower, a green tower, and a purple tower. So in Scholars, you have dice. And dice are your workers, essentially. And you start off with primary colored dice, red, blue, yellow. There are white dice. White dice will do things for you, but they're bad at the end of the game because they're boring and lame and they're colorless. And then you can unlock secondary colored dice, purple, orange, and green dice. And when you take an action, you've got these slots on your little player board. You're going to play a card down into it, and it's got little spots on it for you to slot dice in. And you're going to pop dice in there, and those dice will give you a strength for that action. So if you're traveling around the countryside collecting scrolls, you care about pips. If you are employing translators, you care about pips. If you are doing research, you care about color. And then the color that you research with will put you up on the different color tracks. And if you're translating a scroll, you care about color. Research is all 6 colors, the 3 primaries, 3 secondaries, and translating scrolls is only secondary. So you really have to unlock a secondary die somehow in order to translate scrolls. And translating scrolls is how you get to endgame scoring opportunities. Scholars is a big, hot mess of humble-G-jumble-D, but I love it. It all comes together. And the expansion, Body of Books, that's what it's called, creates a new board on the side. It sits next to the main board, and on there is a black track rather than colored tracks. And there is a new die, there's a black die that you can unlock through various things. And surprise, when you translate or research using the black dice, you can go up on the track, on the Body of Books track. On the Body of Books track, there's a new set of cards as well. I can't for the life of me remember what they're called, but they tuck under your main board just like translators do, and they give you ongoing benefits and endgame benefits, and you're purchasing them with a new resource called experience. And there are 2 or 3 different ways to farm experience in the game, and these cards do really, really good things for you. One of the mechanics in Scholars that's, I'll say it's been a little bit clunky. Clunky's not quite the right word, but I'm 4 coffees into the day, and I can't find a better one, so you're stuck with clunky. Is that when you retire translators, you get to tuck them under your board, under your action slots, and they improve your action slots. That's quite costly in that I think the first one under each costs nothing, and as you add more underneath each action slot, you increase the value and output of that action slot, but it costs you more and more to get things in there, and money's really tight in Scholars. It's really hard to come by. And so what the Body of Books does is you've got these rows. Every time you fill in a row, if you complete the whole row, your whole system bumps down one, and you can fill in the next row for free. It doesn't cost you anything. You only have to pay if you're filling your rows in unevenly. I think it's really clever. I think it gives you one more little thing to juggle as you're unicycling across the flaming bridge. But I actually found it really seamless and really easy to incorporate. I think Super Trooper and I have played Scholars. It's got to be 10 or 12 times by now we've played Scholars. And so we're pretty comfortable with the game as it is. I think we agreed at the end that we wouldn't play without it now. Wouldn't play without the expansion. It didn't add extra rules grist to the game. It didn't add meaningless actions or activities. It didn't make the game harder to grok. It didn't dilute your actions necessarily. I mean, you've got that one more board to deal with, but you get all these other benefits from these cards that kind of offset that. And I thought it was really, really well done. I like Scholars. I like it even more with the Body of Books expansion. That is Scholars of the South Tigris by Shem Phillips, S.J. McDonald, and art by Mihailo Dmitrievsky, and of course published by Garfield Games, our friends just over the ditch in New Zealand, pumping out content after content after content. So, I'm not going to go through all the games I played in the last 2 weeks, because there were a lot. I'm just going to hit some of the ones that I think are more interesting to share with you. So I played a game. This was I had a Friday, and I managed to squeeze a couple of hours off in the afternoon, and so I popped over to Super Trooper's house again, and we played Sentient. Now, if you haven't played Sentient is grade 9 math the game, and that's not to undercook it. I really enjoyed Sentient. I thought Sentient was horrifying and great at the same time, a little bit like Faraway, but less of a fisting from double ends. And so in Sentient, basically, you're drafting cards to bring down into your little tableau in front of you. And those cards have a math equation on them. And the math equation let me say, each of those cards has a number at the top left and the top right, and it's somewhere between 1 and 6. No, I lie. I told an absolute lie. Your board has dice on it in slots. There, you roll them, they're between 1 and 6. The cards will slot in, and they have a plus, a minus, or an equal side on them. So you're drafting cards from a market. You're using your workers to buy them. You slot the card in your tableau, and if on the top left it has a plus, the die up there has to go up by 1. If the top right has a minus, it's got to go down by 1. If it says equals, it stays the same. And then on the card will be something insane like add your left die to your right die, and if it's less than 6, you score 5 points. Okay, well that's fine. That's fine. I've got that. I slot it in. My one die after the manipulations and the shenanigans from the little bits at the top, it's a 2 and a 3. That's 5. It's less than 6. I get points. Hooray! Guess what? You've got to take another card. So you've got to take another card, and you've got 4 slots for cards, and eventually a card's going to go next to the ones you've already placed, and it might say, well, on the right, you're going to put the die up by 1. So you put that die up by 1, and it helps you with the cards you've got, but it completely fucks the card you previously put down there. Right? Like completely. Because now it's changed the equation in the next column so that it doesn't hit what you need to do. So there's no points over there. So the whole game is doing math in your head, like you're sitting in grade 9 doing math, trying to work out plus and minus and greater than or equal to or less than or equal to. And it's not hard math. It's just you're doing it the whole game. The whole game. And you spend the whole game going, oh, I can't. Fuck you, card. That's the whole game. That's it. I had a great time. I thought it was fantastic. I enjoyed it. There's as you draft the cards off the card market, you're leaving workers up there that you've used to buy the cards, and at the end of each round, there's a little area majority up there for some tokens, and those tokens will lean into your in-game scoring because depending on the cards you've drafted, there's set collection and whatnot for in-game points. I thought it was a blast. I will play it again. I think it's not one you want to play after 2 or 3 wines because there's just a little bit too much math. It's not complex math, but it is non-stop math. But yeah, it was great. Art was great. A little repetitive, but the art style was fantastic. And had a blast. That's by J. Alex Kevin. Art by Chris Ostrowski, Gordon Tucker, and published by Renegade Games. It was great. I played a weird little card game. And when I say weird little card game, I am going to do my best to describe how to play this game without any visual aids whatsoever. And this is called Soothsayers. Now, Soothsayers is, ostensibly modeled after a tarot deck. It's got very tarot-y style art, and the cards are tarot-sized. And you start the game with 4 action cards in front of you. They each do different things. One will give you money. One will allow you to upgrade cards. One will allow you to recruit extra special cards from a central market. And one will allow you to draft new cards from the central market. So you've got 2 different markets. You've got the special cards and you've got the normal cards that sit in your hand. So on your turn, you're going to take an action. And let's say it's draft. And your draft card will say draw 2 cards. Now, everyone else around the table gets to do a lesser action, a little bit like Earth. And if you haven't chosen the action yourself, you'll get to do the lesser action on the card, which is probably draw 1 card, right? Unless you've upgraded that card. Okay, so hold on to your panties here. So I've drafted cards. I can pick 2 what I want, or I can take some off the deck. Once it's all done, the market refills. Easy, right? Piece of cake. So let's say I want to choose Ascension, where I want to upgrade some cards. I've chosen the action. I get to upgrade 2 cards. So if I've got all level 1 cards on my board, I can play a level 2 of the exact same card, because there's only 4 types of cards, right on top of it, and that's now a level 2 action. I get to do that twice. Everyone else gets to do it once. Around you go. So everyone gets to upgrade once, I get to upgrade twice. My cards do something a little bit more extra special. Whether it's when you're drafting cards, you get 3 instead of 2. Sometimes it might be your secondary action gets a little bit more powerful. If it's the one that farms money, you might get a little more money, etc. You get the idea. Keep going, keep going, keep going. Okay, so now everyone's got all different levels of cards. I might have a level 3 money card, a level 2 drafting card, a level 4 card that lets me take the special cards, etc. I'm going to draft money. I've got a level 3 money card. It gives me lots of money because money comes in handy in this game for other reasons. I've got a level 3. Now we start going around the table. Well, if I've got a level 3 money card and you've got a level 2 money card, you have to give me $1 to do the action. You do not only get to do the lesser action, it costs you money. So if you are lagging behind on developing your cards, your actions become more expensive when other people take them. Yikes. Further, the win conditions for this game are achieving 5 fate tokens. They're these little all-seeing eye Illuminati tokens. They're little triangles. And if you get 5 of them, you win the game. So you get these by having the highest ranked card of a type at the table. So if I have the highest rank money collecting card, I get one of these tokens, it sits on that card. No problem. Somebody else passes me, I have to give, as in their money card becomes more powerful than mine, I have to give them that token. You've got to somehow get 5 of these. You can also use your coins to just straight up buy them from a market that gets more expensive. I think it starts at 10 coins and it goes up to 37. So there's 5 of them available. The ones you buy cannot be stolen off of you. There are other ways to get these little tokens, really expensive ways to get these tokens in the game, and if you get them that way, they can't be stolen off you. It took a few minutes for us to get our head around it and get going. It was quirky and weird. The art was wild and unusual, but I'll tell you what, I had a lot of fun with Soothsayers. I thought it was interesting. I thought it was different. I thought it was take that, but in a way that's not mean, because you're just upgrading your cards. All of a sudden, I've upgraded a card. My card's better than yours. I get that token. And the only challenge I have with Soothsayers, and it's a challenge I have with a lot of these games where there's a lot happening on the table, is that it's very easy to lose track of who's about to win the game. I ended up winning, and everyone's like, what the fuck you mean you win? I'm like, well, I played this card, and I've done this thing, and so now I win. It was a bit like if you've never seen ProZD's take his YouTube video on Baby Jumping Cow and how to play collectible TCG card games. It's hilarious. Just go look up ProZD and search up Baby Jumping Cow. You'll find it's hilarious. Yeah, so that's my only, and it's not even a reservation with it. It's just something you got to come to terms with. You either going to spend 90% of your time looking around the table trying to make sure that you're not just farming your own tokens, but cock blocking everyone else. But I really enjoyed it. I would really like to play it again. I thought it was excellent. This was Project L's copy. Super fun. That's designed by Jeff Grissenthwaite, by arts by Marco Primo, Pamela Coleman-Smith, and it's published by Play2Z. 100% would play again. So after that, we played another midweight Euro that we love. We played Kalamala, and again, we played a midweight Euro with an expansion. Spoiler alert, we're all going to be happy to never play with this expansion again. We played Kalamala, the recent re-release, the deluxe version, with the Intrigue expansion. So Kalamala, the game, is a very tight, very simple, very straightforward game that has you groaning every time you have to take a turn. For good reasons, because it's crippling. The game is crippling. All you're doing is putting a token out. You're taking the actions that are on either side of the token, and then anyone who's underneath you, who happens to have been there previously in that spot, will also get to take that action. Because there's no blocking out in this work. It's a worker placement game, essentially. You're putting little discs out. And so you're looking at, well, I need those actions, but if I do that, I'm going to give these actions to this person and this person and this person. And it's very spicy. I really like Kalamala. And it's very straightforward. You can learn to play Kalamala in about 4 minutes. So the Intrigue expansion wasn't bad. There's nothing wrong with the Intrigue expansion. But the Intrigue expansion basically puts more worker placement spaces into this placement grid that you can take as an option. And there's an extra board on the side where you're pushing your little influence tokens up and back and forth, either towards, I believe, towards the Emperor or towards, I think it was the clergy on the other side. I might have that wrong. And if you get far enough up that track, when you do take scoring on the main board, you get bonuses for that scoring. It wasn't bad. Like, it was fine. It was totally fine. And, we started with a little asymmetrical, house leader that gave you a little bit of a different start and gave you a little bit of a power you can use through the game. They were fine. I would be perfectly happy to never play with it again because Kalamala is so clean, it's so tasty, it's so zingy, and I found that the expansion made turns taste. How did it make them taste? It made them take longer, but more importantly, how did the turns taste? Ugh. Stale. Made the turns taste stale if I've got to put a flavor on it. Because you take your two main actions and then you have to labor over whether you want to take the other actions you have access to and what the benefit is of them, and really do you want to get involved with them. It was fine. Intrigue was fine. I would play it again, if somebody really wanted to play with Intrigue. It's not like Turmoil from Terraforming Mars, where I literally just want to burn it and pee on it, put the fire out, and then set it on fire again. But Intrigue, it was fine. It will probably never come out of the box again, if I'm being perfectly honest. That is Kalamala by Fabio Lopiano, art by Ian O'Toole, and published by Alley Cat Games. I love Kalamala. I think it's a fantastic game. Well, as I said, I played some good games. So next after that, we played something a little sillier. We got the kids involved. We played Magical Athlete. Now, if you haven't seen Magical Athlete, it looks like it was... And this is no shade on Angela Kirkwood, who's the artist, but it really looks like the art was done by a grade 5 class. It's silly little caricatures of people or characters. So, for example, in Magical Athlete, you're playing a character and you're doing a silly race. You might be the banana. And so the character looks like a banana that was drawn by someone in 5th grade. It's colored in, it's got feet, it's got eyes and arms, and it's running. And look, that's the aesthetic. It was great. I've got no complaints about the art. I'm just trying to describe it to you. And on the board, you've got basically what looks like a racetrack with, I'm going to guess, about 40 spaces on it. It looks a bit like a B-grade Candyland track, if I'm being honest. And there's a start line, and you're rolling dice to move, right? Which is so 1974. Again, no shade on Magical Athlete. I'm going to just cut to the end and come back again. Magical Athlete was heaps of fun. Heaps of fun because you get a hand of 4 characters, and there's 4 races you run. In each race, you flip the board over. It's a slightly different board on both sides. But your characters are all assholes, right? So, for example, I had the banana. Anyone who runs past me trips. And when you trip, you get to finish your move, but you basically come to a skidding halt. Your next turn is just standing up and dusting yourself off, right? Really funny. I had one called the Scoocher. So anytime anyone else got to use their special power on the card, I got to scooch forward 1 space. And the little meeple and the art on the card is basically it's a little cartoon dog scraping his ass across the carpet. Right, so anytime anyone used what was on their card, I went, and I scooted forward 1 space. It was hilarious. It's really hilarious. And you run 4 races. So everyone's got a hand of 4. You choose which race are you going to do. You put it down, you roll dice, you follow the instructions. It plays itself, right, really, once it starts. But it's fun. And the funny bits that happen, that's where the game enjoyment is. You win, you lose, no one cares. But it's a little bit like, it's been compared a lot to, say, Hot Streak, which is another game of that sort of ilk, where Hot Streak, once you've made your 1 or 2 very small decisions in it, it just plays itself and you come along for the ride. If I have to pick one, I think Hot Streak's more fun. I think Magical Athlete has more replays in it because you've got all these characters. There's something like 40 characters in the box that you can play with, right? So I think Hot Streak is more fun, but you could probably play Magical Athlete more often. That's my take on it. I think it's fun. I think it's great. I will happily play it again. It's probably a little bit long for something you're just throwing dice around and moving around, but whatever. And that is by Mr. Magic the Gathering himself. That is designed by Richard Garfield, Takashi Ishida, and art by Angela Kirkwood, and published by CMYK. I really like CMYK's games. They do some of my absolute favorites. Got to play a game of Rebel Princesses. Now, Rebel Princesses is a trick-taking game, and we are all ostensibly princesses around the table. And there are 4 suits. One of them are queens, one of them are princes, one of them are little fairies, and one of them are woodland animals. And it's a must-follow trick-taking game. Very simple, right? But you are avoiding princes like the plague, as a rebel princess would do, right? So if you win a trick with the prince, you get a point. Points are bad. You don't want points in rebel princesses. And so you will lead with, red 9, which is the suit of queens. And they go around the table. And if somebody else plays because you have to, it's a must follow. So if you're void in a suit, you can play a prince. If someone plays a prince and you win the trick, you get that prince, which means you get points. There's a frog prince hiding in the deck. He's worth 5 points. So if you get the frog, that's 5 points. I love trick taking. I grew up playing bridge with my grandmother. It was torture at the time, but I do love trick taking. I think it's a blast every time. Rebel Princesses is ostensibly a variation of Hearts, really, more than anything. The art's great. There's an asymmetrical sort of round rule that comes out. You play 5 rounds. There's 5 cards that come out, and it layers 1 extra thing on the game. And you're issued at random 1 special, princess token, which gives you a princess player power for the game. You can use that once per round. Heaps of fun. It's 25 minutes of squeals and laughter, and pointing and shaming and groaning when you get the frog in the hand. I've played it twice now on 2 separate days. I will happily play it any day of the week. I think Rebel Princesses is absolutely fantastic. It's designed by Daniel Byrne, Jose Geraldo Guerrero, Kevin Peleas, Tirso Viros, lots of designers. Art by Alfresco Caceres, and published by Bazir. Bazir Games published that one. I remember it was at PAX last year, and I looked at it about 15 times, like, Rebel Princesses, looks all right. Meh. Well, it turns out it's fantastic. No regrets on not buying it, because eventually I'll be able to borrow it, because I know 2 people in our group that already own it, and Rebel Princesses. And the last game I want to talk about in detail today was Eternal Decks. I got a copy of Eternal Decks. Thank you, Dean at Advent Games. I know sometimes my show sounds a bit like an ad for Dean at Advent Games, but I bought my games from Dean because his prices are great. His customer service is freaking outstanding, and he's just generally a nice dude. And he gets a lot of the esoteric stuff. He gets a lot of the post-Kickstarter stuff. He usually gets his hands on, at least a number of copies of the stuff that's kind of hard to come by. And it's usually still priced quite reasonably. So I managed to get a copy of Eternal Decks. And so we got a game of Eternal Decks to the table. Now, Eternal Decks is basically it's a cooperative. You could almost call it a trick taker. It's not really, but you're playing cards into the field. And you can communicate. You've got these communication discs that you can play, but you can't talk about the cards in your hands. And what you're trying to do is achieve victory by collecting 4 out of the 6 stars that are seated around this board. And you start off with 5 cards in your hand, and somebody's going to play, and off you go. You've got 3 rows that you're playing into called the field, and each field has a specific rule. So, for example, the top field might say cards have to be ascending. So if the first card is a 4, the second card has to be higher than a 4. I know you know what ascending is, so forgive my idiocy. The next one down, because we were playing the very, very baby version of Eternal Decks, next one down was descending cards. Right? So they had to go in descending order across. And then the third row was a camp row. And camp means there's no special rules other than the normal rules. So the normal rules as well are similar to Sagrada. You can't put 2 cards of a color together because each of us are playing a different color. And you can't put 2 cards of the same number together. Right? So you can't have 2 twos, 2 oranges, whatever the case is. So we were playing 4 different colors. And off you go. At the end of each row, there are 3 decks of cards. There are 9 all up. These are the Eternals. And you're trying to play across the row. And if you get to the end of the row, you unlock one of the Eternal decks. The Eternal goes up into the Eternal row at the top, and whoever played the last card of that row collects the Eternal deck. It goes to the bottom of their deck, and that is now for them to draw on. The Eternal will have a curse, and the curse might say you can't play 2s, right? Which is fine when you have one Eternal, but when you have 5 Eternals, it gets very, very messy. So how do you win? Well, you've got to gather 4 of the 6 stars that are seated around the table, around the board. And the board is this silk cloth board that's gorgeous. The art on this it's got this like Asian tribal feel about the art. The art is gorgeous. It looks amazing on the table. But here's the rub. You win by collecting 4 of 6 stars. One of the ways you lose is if anyone runs out of cards. Cannot draw, like if you have to play your last card, you're done. So your first hurdle as a table is to make sure that those first 4 decks that you can come to, because what happens is the row is 8 cards long. So the first time you will come to a deck that you can collect, you've got to play 5 cards into that row. You've got to follow the rules of the row, and then that deck will go into the draw pile of whoever has gotten there. They will then, all the cards in there will wipe, and you'll go again. So the next time you play into that row, before you can get to a pile of cards that can refresh someone, it will be 6 cards. After that, it will be 7 cards, right? And it sounds pretty straightforward, but there are some tense, stressful moments when you're looking around the table and you see somebody who's only got 2 cards left, and you've got to get the next refresh of cards into their hands, and that's where the strategy comes. Because you lose if anyone runs out of cards. There's a special discard down the bottom, because one of the things you can do is there are groups and patterns of cards that you can choose to discard during your turn. It might be 3 of the same suit, which is your whole hand. It might be 3 of the same number, which again is your whole hand, but it unlocks a little gem. And if you unlock the gem, you get to pop it up on the Eternal that's been unlocked at the top, and you get to cancel their curse, right? It's a little gem that cancels the curse. It's delightful, because by the time you've got 3 or 4, because you are racing to get these cards unlocked, but every time you unlock a pile of cards, an Eternal goes up to the top of the pile, top of the board, and adds another curse. And these curses are the simple ones, allegedly. So they would say things like, you cannot play... At one point, we couldn't play 4s, 6, or 7s. We couldn't play red cards or red-green dual-colored cards. Any of that. And we're all staring at the board going, Jesus, holy moly. So... it's a really interesting puzzle, and you can't talk about the cards in your hands. You have 2 indicator tokens that you can drop on the board willy-nilly, however you like, but you can't say why you're dropping them. It might be, I can play a card there, I can't play a card there, oh no. And every time you heal a curse, your cards go into the river at the bottom, and when the river fills up, much like the field cards, you unlock a rare card. The rare card goes in your hand, and it's a wild. It can be played for anything. I know that seems like a lot. It's quite a simple rule set, to be honest. It's very easy to get going. We were really hopeful about 10, 12 minutes into the game, and then 7 or 8 minutes later, we were like, oh no. Spoiler, we did not win. But I had a really great time with the Eternal decks. I think it's something that's going to reward multiple plays. And what I don't mean by that, like there's some games that you say, well, you'll be rewarded with multiple plays because you'll finally start liking it. That's not what I mean. I think it's a little bit like Regicide. When we first started playing Regicide, we're like, well, how the shit are we supposed to win at Regicide? It's very, very hard to win. And Regicide Legacy, obviously, there are different things that come out and help unlock to give you little bonus powers. I think repeated plays of Eternal decks are going to reveal just some of the natural ebb and flow strategies that will layer on to lead to victory. But I thought it was excellent. I thought Eternal Decks was really excellent, and I'm very much looking forward to playing it again. That is designed by Hirokin, art by Majunsha. They're like Madonna, they only have one name. And published by Trick Takers Games. It was a Japanese game that I believe went to crowdfunding last year, and they're in the middle of doing a reprint. So it's very, very hard to find right now. But my understanding is there will be a much larger number of copies available later in the year if you can get your hands on them. We'll just pause right there. I'm going to force feed a couple of ads into your ear holes. Thank you very much. That might get me a cup of coffee, and I appreciate your time. We'll be back.
Boxes on the doorstep, new delights inside. Having is on fire, fields to divide.
Well, 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 we're here to talk about incoming, and there's not been a ton incoming because I'm kind of in this limbo space where I'm waiting on a couple of Kickstarters. I would say Kickstarters, crowdfunding games. I've just had Lands of Evershade arrive a couple weeks ago, as you know, and so the Peanut and I have been working our way through that, hoping to get back to that this afternoon. It's Sunday afternoon. It's chilly. She can finish cleaning her room, and we can play a little bit of that. But I did have an issue with Red Wine Hammers. If you're unfamiliar with Red Wine Hammers, he is the Hammers that has a couple of glasses of red wine and then decides online shopping is a really great thing to do and then potentially buys stuff. He never buys stuff that I'm unhappy with necessarily. I wasn't unhappy with this one. You know, I wasn't disappointed, but I wasn't actively shopping for it. But Red Wine Hammers has struck again. Because there's a number of titles that I'll just regularly check in on through the year and go, oh, I wonder if this is up for a good price. Oh, I wonder what this is doing right now. And so, last week I found Stroganoff the Big Box at a really good price. And I picked that up. You know, it's here in the bunker waiting to be unboxed. It's been on our game group's radar, mostly Super Troopers. You know, he's been like, oh, this looks like really good. And it wasn't on my radar until he said, oh, this looks really good. And, you can get the base game of Stroganoff, like the retail game. I think you can get it these days for like $35, right? So apparently it's a really good game. You want a good game, it's $35. I think that's probably because Game Brewer, who's the publisher, they went under, I think it was early last year. There's a glut of some of these games on the market, and they're no longer marketing them and whatnot because they're not doing it anymore. And so you can actually get Stroganoff, the normal game, just normal game, for a really reasonable price. And I assume it's just as good as the big box. The big box just has pretty stuff in it. The big box has pretty stuff. It has pretty toys. It's got an expansion that's apparently really quite good. It's got quite a good expansion in there. And so I'm looking forward to unboxing that, doing some Russian fur trading. It's got a very brown sort of look to it, but it's got that, we'll see. I'm excited. I've had very good experiences with Game Brewer games. I am a big fan of Bowmore's. I think Oak was theirs as well. I think Oak was one of the last ones they did before they decided to close up, and I really like Oak. I like Oak a lot. And so, yeah, we'll see. I'm very much looking forward to it. I also got Grineville delivered. Now, Grineville is a charming little indie project that was on GameFound last year. And, you know, I was in a spot where I'm like, look, I want to support I think this one only hit like $70,000 on GameFound. It's a real passion project by somebody, and it's this little cooperative, I'll say semi-cooperative city builder. It's very nice looking on the table. It's got a very interesting action selection mechanism where you're going around a track on the outside, around the outside, around the outside, and each action progresses the time of the game. And look, it just has this really, it's not quite, okay, I'm going to call it Food Chain Magnate without the backstabbing, and it's not quite as, I guess, mean. I think it looks great. I was happy to spend my money. I was happy to get this one in the bunker. It's a very heavy box of stuff, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun. Not that it matters, but it hit my radar because Rado did a run through of it, and he said this might actually be one of his contenders, possibly later for Game of the Year. Doesn't mean it's his Game of the Year, but he liked it a lot. Now, I know you might say, well, Rado likes everything. And like, well, it's not that he likes everything, but he doesn't cover stuff that he doesn't like. He usually plays stuff first, and then he'll cover it. And so I like his effusively positive outlook. But the fact that he was able to go on record and say, look, I think this could actually be contender for Game of the Year. It's a lot crunchier than it looks. It looks light and breezy, and it's fairly crunchy, which I like. One more. I bought Toy Battle. You know, Toy Battle's a simple, straightforward little battler. It's Paolo Mori. I like Paolo Mori. Paolo Mori does two-player games very, very well. This is basically its little area control, march and destroy with little tokens. They just go out on the field, and it's cute. It was a very good price, and it's here. That's it. That's all that's incoming this week. But that's enough. That's plenty for me. Welcome to FOMOMOFO, where I take you through my personal angst-ridden journey of capitalist acquisitionism. As always, this is not an exhaustive list of crowdfunding projects, but merely those that have my personal attention, either because they are by design and development team I like, a theme that I enjoy, or because they got the pretty toys. And sometimes it's all three. I love it when it's all three. Well, it's been a minute, and to be honest, I'm not tracking a whole lot in crowdfunding right now. I have a ton. Like, I have a ton. Like, a fuck ton. A shit ton. Like, holy... I have a buttload. Buttload's an actual measurement. I have a buttload of stuff in my delivery queue. I'm really happy with my queue right now. It looks really great. And if you want that full list, you'll need to go back to the HIG VOD. Or wait for the next one. The next one's coming soon. That's the half-yearly Good Vibes Only Jamboree, where I review all my crowdfunding projects, why I'm still excited about them, and I just generally kind of fangirl for an hour. But I am watching a few. The details are up for the next Awaken Realms monstrosity, and I say that with genuine love. The Concordia remake is coming soon. It looks awesome. I mean, it really is. The details on it are great. The art looks great. They've got all the maps and all the boards in their own little library. I won't be picking it up only because Project L's already made her pitch to the finance board, aka the Cracker, and her Concordia acquisition proposal has been rubber stamped. So I am delighted that it's entering our game group. I won't be picking it up personally. Leviathan Wilds, Shattered Peak. Oh, if you want to look it up. Sorry, I think they've got details out, but it's only just started. You don't have shipping or anything. They've just put the details up. I don't have any of the details for you. Probably we'll review that next week or week after when we're back and it's live. But I think ostensibly the deluxe game was €95, which is perfectly reasonable. But you know perfectly well there's going to be 9 different add-ons that can go on top of that by the time the game's over, and the all-in will be $380, whatever the case is. And you know what? If you love Concordia, Concordia's a great game. I've only played it once, but if you love Concordia, who gives a shit, right? Like, if you've got the money and you like the toys, then buy the toys. That's why we work. We work hard so we can buy the toys. But over on Kickstarter, Leviathan Wilds, Shattered Peak is up. This is expansion of Leviathan Wilds. If you end up missing it, because I think it's only got 4 or 5 days left on it, late pledge will be open 8 minutes after the campaign finishes, so don't stress too hard. This has got 11 new Leviathans, 3 new climbers, 3 new classes. I've got to be perfectly transparent. I've not played Leviathan Wilds. I think it looks really fun, really cool. Super Trooper has a copy. He's a fan. In this campaign, you could pick up everything Leviathan Wilds if that's your thing. The new expansions, it's just $70 US, and it looks like there's a fair bit in there for $70. I think that's great. Shipping's another $20, which is almost 30%, but still, it's not a lot of money. You're talking about $90 for a decent expansion. And in Australia, $90 doesn't go very far for games, guys. I know you've heard, if this is your first episode, let me be clear, $90 does not go very far in Australia. And to be honest, I can't see any reason not to wait for retail on this one. If you're looking at it going, oh, I'm not sure, because there's only a couple of very minor Kickstarter exclusives that I can see. And it might be more expensive. Like, you might end up spending the $90 anyway on it when it comes out, but whatever. I don't think there's any reason to rush out and get it, but if you are like, well, Leviathan Wilds, I've been really wanting Leviathan Wilds, you can get everything. All the deluxe bits, all the whole kit and caboodle, and all the toys, all the schmunkle, you can get it all. It looks great. I'll happily play Super Trooper's copy. I don't actually see him picking this up because I don't think he's played Leviathan Wilds all that much, but I've been wrong before. I don't have a lot of FOMOMOFO, as I said up front. I'm not tracking a lot right now. This next one is a weird one. Like, it's weird. This is SHUG. Anybody watching SHUG? If you looked at SHUG, holy moly. This has been on my timeline with ads for what feels like a year. I remember seeing SHUG ads a long time ago. It has an insane art style that very much reminds me of like classic Monty Python stuff. It's got that really bizarre, bulbous, swirling, shading. If you don't know what I'm talking about, just go over to Kickstarter, look up SHUG, or go look at any of Terry Gilliam's work from the 70s. But it's weirder. It's okay. It's you're sitting down. Okay, so it's a roll to move, map/dungeon crawler, monster battler with PvP with physical party game elements. And weird art, right? You can win in 2 ways. You can murder King Charles, totally fictitious King Charles, unrelated to the monarchy at this point, I'm sure. Or you can find SHUG. SHUG is this weird little black shadow creepy creature, and he's hidden under one of, I think it's 8 or 9 little runes that are seated around the board. You can find SHUG by searching these runes, and you can escort him to the pub. If you do that, you also win. So it's either you kill the king because the world's in shambles, or you forget your troubles and you sit in the pub and you drink till the end of days. What was that movie? what was that movie? Oh, the zombie movie with Simon Pegg where all they wanted to do was get to the pub and they ended up in the pub and the world was ending. Fuck, it was Shaun of the Dead. So much better than SHUG. That's what I would play, a Shaun of the Dead game. Let me tell you, how good would Shaun of the Dead, the board game, be? Sorry, back to topic. I was very keen to see what this looked like from a game point of view, because all you got in the ads was the art style, dungeon crawler, get SHUG to the pub. Like, you really do nothing. It's a hell no for me, right? Like, it's just the art is so weird. And the whole notion that, like, I'm going to be battling monsters or battling players or killing the king. Oh, we can just fuck off to the pub and I win. And I've got to get up and do a dance off with the cracker. I don't know. Like, there's party game stuff in there. And I'm not opposed to party games, but I don't want a party game dungeon crawler. Okay? This sounds like something that if drugs were legal, it would be amazing. Right? So maybe in Canada, this is going to be a sweeping success. I mean, it might be amazing. It might be amazing. Like, who knows? The all-in's $185. Shipping's another $28, which only comes in at 15%. Very fair shipping. It's bizarre. Maybe it's a triumph of design. I'll never know, but we'll all know in a year when it fulfills. Go have a look at it. Make sure you're not impaired in any way, though, because it already looks like a fever dream. I'm going to touch on one more, just very briefly. This is Legacy of Mars, largely because I love Terraforming Mars. This is not a legacy game. This is basically play 4 games of Terraforming Mars. Some stuff might persist. I think I'll just go do that. Right? Just go play 4 games of Terraforming Mars. I don't get negative very often, right? Here, I don't, because I don't like shitting on people's work, and I don't like yucking someone else's yum, and I don't like tearing anything down. It's not my style. But let me be clear, a legacy Terraforming Mars game would be freaking amazing. Can you imagine, like, you're on Mars and an unexplored crater, and you get to you build a domed city, but on that space is like open envelope 14, and you open that up, and it's like critters crawl out and consume all your residents, and now they're taken over by body snatch. I mean, come on. You could do so much with the Terraforming Mars legacy game. This is not that, right? I mean, it's still about to tick over $2 million US, so good for them. The whole campaign looks obnoxious to me, I'm not going to lie. It's big money for plastic toys. If you don't already have Terraforming Mars with plastic toys, then maybe this is for you. It's certainly not for me. I love Terraforming Mars. I think Terraforming Mars is going to be OG for all time for me. I really, really like Terraforming Mars. But this is not for me. I think the all-in with all the big upgrades and everything was something like $500 Australian, and I just looked at it. Oh, and it's only half a game because it's Terraforming Mars, the campaign game. It's only 4 of 7. The other 3 are coming out sometime in the future if they still have money and want to go through it. And that, to me, I'm like, are you freaking kidding me? You want me to spend money for half a game and hope you actually have the spine, cojones, and grit to actually produce the other half with no firm commitment? Nope. So much nope. So much nope for me. Sorry. Back to positivity. Stone Saga's getting a reprint because they like money. I looked at Stone Saga in the first campaign and I originally passed on it. It's basically I think it's a co-op, semi-co-op survival crafting sort of thing. It actually looks really fun, really good. I don't know if I need it. Okay, needs the wrong word. I don't know if he's schmuncurl enough. But it's going live this week. I'll give it a look. I think I'm too far down the well of things like Lands of Evershade, which, while it's not crafting, it's that co-op piece, and it's more in my wheelhouse with that dark, gritty fantasy stuff. And but I'll have a look. It's getting a reprint. And there are 953 pledge managers open right now. Full disclosure, I didn't actually count them. So if you have money and you want more cardboard and plastic, you are spoiled for choice. For me, I'm pretty low on the FOMO spectrum this month. It's good news for my stretch pay queue because that allows some of the things that are in there to catch up and clear out so that I have money for coffee and, other stuff. That'll do it for FOMOMOFO this week, people. This week on Voices in My Head, I want to talk about what do you do, or how do you feel, or what happens when a game just doesn't hit with you? just doesn't. There's no, what do they call it? What do their kids call it? There's no riz, right? You get into it and you're like, oh, you're just not feeling it. And I brought this up very briefly. I was at a game day yesterday with my friends, and I brought it up very briefly. I was talking about games that don't hit my feelings on it. It was almost in passing, but it stuck with me. I want to talk about it today. So what do you do when a game doesn't hit? What do you do when you bounce off a game? I'll typically play anything. I can think of more than a few times when I bought a game that I hadn't even thoroughly researched, just because, that looks like it might be good. And to be clear, I have a lot of games. But I will literally play anything at least once, right? Going back 5 years ago, I would pretty much finish every single board game, go, wow, that was awesome. And it was probably at least in part related to the fact that I'd not had a ton of modern board game experience. I've been playing board games. Always love board games, but modern board games, I was reintroduced to modern board games, and I was just like, I just went down a well of, holy shit, these are fucking awesome. Yeah, it's probably in part related to the company I keep. I hang out with people that we all love games, and I just generally all around tend to give the world around me the benefit of the doubt. I look at something and go, hey, I'll give that a go. But something shifting for me, not shifty. That's a different podcast, but something shifting. There were some early games that I bounced off, and I'm not talking active dislikes, but just bounced. I've never really gelled, for example, with Kanban EV. It's widely thought of as one of Lacerda's very best, and I can absolutely see a great game there. I just don't enjoy it. And if you ask me why, I can't even tell you. Is it the opaque game scoring? I mean, maybe. Lacerda often has occluded scoring, end game scoring, and I don't mean that you can't see someone else's score, like in Speakeasy where it's behind a screen. But what I mean is that it's very hard to track a live score in the game. As for example, in Kanban, you've got this 3-way scoring with your blueprints and your cars and where you are on different tracks. And it's the same in On Mars with the scientists, the research scientists. You've got a 3-way triangle to calculate your scoring. But then I really like Maracaibo. And aside from the cards on the table in Maracaibo has a very opaque scoring track. It's very difficult to grok at a glance. You look over there and you're like, well, if you're up to this certain point, then you get this amount of points per this thing. And it's like, it's not intuitive. And you could probably work it out partway through the game, but it's painful and pointless. So is it the mechanisms in Kanban? Like most Lacerdas, you need to get a voucher for a part to cash that in, but you can trade it for a different part if you got the wrong part. But you need the blueprint, and it needs to match a model of card coming off the line, and your people need to be trained in every department, and you have this raging bitch of a boss roaming around the departments, making your life hell. Aside from Sandra, the supervisor, that could sum up just about every Lacerda, So, and I don't think I could say the same about. I really like all the other Lacerdas I've played. So, I guess in short, I can't really tell you. Is it the components? Definitely not. Lacerdas are top shelf. And Super Troopers Copy even has the entirely unnecessary but oh so delightful little metal cars, right? And looking back in my own evolution as a gamer, I think that was the first game that I very gently said to myself, oh, no, I don't really love that. And I played it 3 or 4 times at least. I played it solo twice. I played it twice with Super Trooper. I played it, I think, twice with Lou, or once with Lou. Will I play it again? Sure. Yes, absolutely. If Kanban EV's on the table, I love Lacerda's work. I don't love Kanban. I will never request to play it, but would I play it? Sure. But over the last couple of years, as I said, something shifted for me just a little. And it's not that I've become more critical. I'm not. And I am not analytical at all in this space, right? I could say, for example, that I'm not overly fond of deck building. I would say pure deck building. But then I love Clank. I love Dune Imperium. Love Quest for El Dorado. I'll play Dominion, but I don't love Dominion. I would say I don't even really like Dominion. And going back full circle to the top of this story, I played Dominion. This is the best thing I've ever seen. I went out and I bought like Dominion in 2 expansions. I'm like, that was great. And yeah, I played it. But pure deck building for me, I'm not a massive fan of it. I love Mage Knight. Mage Knight has deck building, but there's a whole lot else going on in it. And so it's not like I can point to when I'm looking at games and go, well, that's this mechanic. I don't like that, because there's nothing I don't like as far as mechanics, just pure mechanics go. I can't really look at a game or maybe I don't look at a game and say, no, I don't like that kind of game. I can't think of a style of game or a mechanic or whatever the case is. That I just don't like them. Theme and art can do it for me. I can look at a game and go, just look at it. Just look at it. And that can sometimes override sensibilities. I mean, I've been lucky in that I can't think of an instance where I bought a game because it looks amazing and I've hated it or even disliked it. But in trying to look at the games over the past few years that I will say don't enjoy. I don't hate them at all, but I don't enjoy. It seems very arbitrary to me. It seems like there's nothing, I can't find a linkage in them to go, well, I don't like these games and here's why, so I can pin it all together. It took me a long time to come to the realization that there are some games that are great. They're great. I just don't enjoy. Right? And this year, I've come to the conclusion that that's okay. I mean, that might seem stupid to be like talking myself up, right? But like, I don't hate things. I don't hate people. I don't dislike things. I don't dislike, experiences. But it's not easy to sit at a table with people who absolutely adore a game and just say, yeah, no. I don't like doing it. It doesn't feel nice. But it's okay to do. I've come to the conclusion this year, it's okay. It's not like I'm going to sit at a table and play a game and go, that was just the shittest experience of my life. But, like, I can play some certain games and finish and think, well, I would have rather just not. I mean, a couple of examples. I've already talked about these on the show, right? Maybe I've talked about them, most of them. Through the Desert. I can see that Through the Desert is a great game. I can see it. It's simple. It's clean. It's tense. It's take that. It's screw you. I've never played a game of Through the Desert and gone, yeah, that was so much fun. I always feel at the end like I just didn't have a good time. Maybe that's because I'm an idiot and don't know how to play Through the Desert. And that's entirely possible, right? But Through the Desert, it's a classic. It's a Reiner Knizia classic. It's highly regarded. I put El Grande in that same boat. It's not a Reiner Knizia, but I don't enjoy El Grande. I find El Grande painful, and I find it arbitrary, and I find that your agency in El Grande is extremely low, and I don't mind the beige Euros. I freaking love a beige Euro, right? I don't mind it, but I don't like El Grande. I just don't like it, and I can't tell you why, other than what I've tried to describe. I'll tell you another one that I'm not a fan of, and this is not about shitting on games. This is just trying to tell you a little bit about me. I don't like Planet Unknown. The Fox loves Tile Layers. She quite enjoys Planet Unknown. She's played it a few times. I don't enjoy it. I think there's just, you're putting a tile out, you're pushing stuff around, you're collecting meteors, you're trying to achieve goals. I get it. I actually think it's a great game. I don't enjoy playing it. I just do not enjoy playing it. You're going up tracks, and the tracks do stuff, and you're building tiles, and I cannot tell you why. I absolutely cannot tell you why, but I would be happy to never play it again. I will play it again. Don't get me wrong. I will play all these games again. I think, for me, I'm not saying these games aren't great games. I just come away from the table afterwards feeling like I would have rather watched, sat with the people, enjoyed the company of the people, and not played. And that's... coming to that realization isn't easy, because playing games, for me at least, it's seldom about the game. I play games because I want to get together with people, right? Get together with some of my closest friends, the people I love most in this world, and we're doing something together. Is Through the Desert unpleasant? Definitely not. Am I hanging out with my friends? Absolutely. Do I hate Through the Desert? No, I don't. I just feel at the end like I would have rather not played. I suppose I can relate it to cooking for my middle daughter. Okay, she has the weirdest palate. Now, I'm not saying Through the Desert is a weird choice in games. That's not. I'm just trying to create a metaphor. She has the weirdest palate. She likes the kind of stuff that you would find in Women's Weekly, and on top of that, she's vegetarian. Do I enjoy eating when she cooks? Not because it's a delicious meal that I've enjoyed, but I enjoy eating it because she cooked it. She picked it. She's made it. Do I enjoy playing a game that I don't really like? I mean, to a point, yeah. Absolutely. To a point, yes. I don't not have a good time. Too many negatives. I don't have a bad time. It's like the vegetarian dinner, though. I'd rather watch her eat it. I'd rather see the smile on her face. But me eating it puts a smile on her face. And I do love that girl. either way, I come away from the table having spent time with people I love. You know, there are very few games that I will refuse to play. There are one or two, but not many. But there are more and more games that I'm kind of stepping back from. You know, I'm finding more enjoyment by being at the table, but not actually playing. And that might sound weird, but it also suits, you know, when you've got more than 4 at the table and there's a dirge of decent 5 and 6 player games. And to add the layer of the now, we're possibly moving at the end of this year, and I will absolutely be having a bunker in the new place. And it will most certainly be bigger than this one. Space isn't an option. Storage is an option. You know, I look around the bunker at my collection. I still have plenty of space. I've got tons of games coming this year, but I've got plenty of space, right? Space isn't an option. But I look at some games and I go, I don't actually love that game. It's not many, but I can see a few that are, you know, in eye shot from where I am. I look at it and I go, you know, I haven't played that in 3 years. And you know why? It's because I don't love it. I don't have to love all the games. Don't get me wrong. That's not what I'm trying to say. But it's a hard realization for me to look at this box and realize that I've pretty much spent the last 3 to 5 years saying, yeah, I love that game. When in fact, I actually don't. You know, and I'm not going to name names or shit on any games. But I'll tell you what, I'm looking around the bunker with fresh eyes going, I haven't played that in a while. Why haven't I played it in a while? You know, it's not a big list, but it's a big moment for me. And I'm not sure there's room in my collection anymore for fine. It's not about taking up the physical space. It's the emotional space. And I'll be looking at my collection over the coming sort of weeks and months with a different lens on. With the lens of, yes, I've bought that game. Yes, the resale value of it is shit. But it's sitting there and it's giving me no joy. It could be someone else's joy. It could be someone else's joy. And yes, I might play it again. But if I don't play it for another 2 to 3 to 5 years, and if I'm not playing it for that time because, well, maybe I don't actually like it as much as I think I do, well, maybe it's time for us to break up. I'm kind of okay with that. Well, OMC crew, you can reach me on all the socials. Find me on Facebook by searching One Man Clapping. You can email me at wonmanclapping@gmail.com. I'm on Instagram. You can join the One Man Clapping Guild on BGG and subscribe to Guild 4426. Occasionally when I'm organized and well-rested and up on my coffee and I don't have 3 daughters pulling me from pillar to post, I put episode notes up on there that are a little more exhaustive than the brief describer you get in your podcasting app. You can help OMC by dropping me a like on Facebook or Instagram or by leaving a review on whatever platform you choose. If it's a bad review, I will be okay. I've survived this far. And thank you as always for your time. Your time is precious, and the fact that you chose to waste an hour of it listening to how I spend my time is always humbling. Until next time, get your game on, even if you've got to play with yourself. For me, I'm going to work through my list here in the bunker and check in on those games that are walking that fine line between love and like and maybe not liking at all. And there might be some games on the market. We'll see. This week's episode has been brought to you by Imodium, because if you haven't shit yourself as an adult, you're still growing. There's still time. Peace out, mofos.